If you don't understand variables, Python will feel like pure madness. But once variables click, programming starts to feel logical. So if you're brand new to Python or programming at all, this video is non-negotiable. Everything you ever write in Python builds on what we're covering today. So in this lesson, you'll learn what variables really are, the 4 most important data types in Python, why naming things properly matters, and how comments help you think like a real developer. So no rushing, no memorization, we're just building understanding. So what is a variable? A variable is a container that stores a value. Think of your phone contacts. Each contact has a name. That name points to a number. So in Python, the variable name is the label and the value is the stored data inside. So let me give you an example. Just going to create, I'm just going to give an example. You can follow me and do what I did. You can create a file, name it main.py. So we're going to do this together. We're going to create a variable called age. And we're going to store the number 18 in it. So what this means is age is the container, 18 is the value. So age is the variable. In Python, we don't declare variable types. Python figures the type out automatically. And that's what you call dynamic typing. And it's one of the reasons Python is beginner friendly. But a variable acts exactly like the value it holds. So I want to write this. You might as well join because this is a practical lesson. X equals 5. Y equals X plus, just going to give space, plus 3. And I'm going to type print, I'm going to type print Y. So I'm going to do save, that is Control S. So you're going to do Control S as well. And we're going to run this program. So if you want to run a program, what you have to do on your VS Code, and if you're using the Windows, you have to type Python, then the name of the file you created. In my case, it is main.py. So main.py and 8. So y is 8. Why is y 8? Because x is 5, and since x is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, which is y. So variables don't add magic, they actually represent values. So on day 1, we're going to focus on the big 4 data types, which is the integer, the float, the string, and the boolean. So first we're going to talk about integers. Now, integers are just whole numbers. 4, 10, 2, these are all integers. This is not an integer because it has a decimal point. Integers are whole numbers. 56, 78, 11. So let's write this code together. Remember what we talked about, variables. We are going to create a variable called score. And we are going to assign the number 90 to the variable score. We're going to create another variable called lives. And we're going to assign the number 3 to that variable. And one more, a variable called temperature. And in this variable, we're going to assign -5. So if you want to catch up, you can pause and write the code so you can follow with me. So this can be used to count, can be used to score, can be used for quantities and ages. That's the main purpose of the integers. So we're going to talk about the second data type, which is a float. Now remember how we said decimal points don't count for integers? Well, these have their own specific names. This is called a float. Float is simply a number with decimals. So 67.99999 is a float. As long as you see the decimal point in the figure, it is a float. So let's create a variable with floats. Price equals 19.99. Height equals 1.75. So these are all floats. So we're going to talk about the next data type, which is the string. String is just text data. Words are what you call string. Alex is a string, but here's an important part about strings. Strings always come with quotation marks at the beginning and the end. If it's inside quotation marks, Python treats it as a text. So if we do something like this, we can do something like, we're just going to write random text. Let's say rice. This is a string. Potato is also a string. It doesn't matter if it's double quotes or single quotes, they are both strings. So if there are no strings, Python will not treat it as a string. If there are no quotation marks, if there are no quotation marks, Python will not treat it as a text. And also, you could also pass in numbers as strings. Let me give you an example. This is not an integer, and I'll tell you why. Because of the quotes. But if I take out the quotes, this is automatically an integer, which is a number. So wherever you see these quotes, treat it like words. That's what you're essentially just telling Python. So we're going to talk about the other data type called Boolean. Now Boolean represents logic, and it has only two values. A Boolean can either be true or false. It can never ever be anything apart from these two. It's either true or false. So let's write a variable with a Boolean together. We're going to put this is logged in, and we're going to set it to true. So this is a Boolean, the true. Now let's write another variable is admin equals false. So this is also a Boolean. These are the only forms Boolean can exist in, true and false. And here is an important note: the true or the false, or the true and the false, must start with a capital letter. So if you do this is not a Boolean, this will be an error. We'll give you an error message. We'll test that shortly, but you must always have a capital letter. So we're going to talk about checking data types, and this is actually the primary debugging tool. So when I say debugging, I mean when you're trying to find out what's wrong with your code or why your code is not working the way it's supposed to work. So if your code behaves strangely, you can use the print statements to debug. Print is essentially telling Python to show you, to display what is happening on the console. So if you do, let's just write this together. when we print something, it shows us the variable. So in this case, if we set the variable name to be Alice, when we run a print, it will show on our terminal right here. So we're going to write a simple way of how you can name your variables. You never ever name your variables this way. Do not name your variables this way, like x equals to 500 or y equals to 0.15 or 14. Yeah, it will work because this is actually the way you write variables, but honestly, this is not a professional way of writing variables because this can be confusing. This is just, for me, it's just a headache. So instead of doing it that way, you write your variables with what I call a naming convention. Salary equals 500. So when you read this, you know that, oh, salary is 500. But when you do x equals 500, you're like, what's x? What did I write? What's this? So readable code is a professional code. Now we're going to also talk about what we call comments. Sometimes you see this in codes. Call this a hashtag. Let's say required age. Let's say required age for account creation. Let's say something like that. Yeah. So this is what you call a comment. And let's write something like this: age equals 18. Okay. All right. So think of comments as explaining why, or why the code is written this way. That's what comments does. It explains the code, you know. So this is says required age for account creation. Oh, I understand. Oh yeah. So the variable I wrote here was supposed to be the required age for account creation. Sorry. So that's essentially what comments do. So let's put everything we've learned all together. Let's write a comment. Let's say user profile information. So let's remember what we talked about variables. Let's create a variable called name, and we're going to put a string in it. Remember our rules of writing strings must have quotation marks. So this is our string, the name Alex. Let's create another variable called age. Remember, age is going to be an integer, so it's numbers 20. Height. Can you guys answer what height would look like? Would it be a string? Would it be a boolean? Would it be, just guess, or not guess, actually think about it. Well, this is a float, 1.8. And then the last one is student. Do you know what data type it will be? If you said boolean, you're correct, right? Remember, boolean always starts with a capital letter T and is either true or false. So remember what we talked about, the print, so we can see the name, because if we just run this code without the print statement, nothing is going to show on the terminal here. So let's just do that so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to press Ctrl S. Always press Ctrl S to save your code, and then you can run the Python main py again, and you see nothing happens. Nada. We don't see anything here. That's why the print statements are important, so we know what's happening. So we're going to write first print. What's this? Name. So we're going to print name. I'm just going to copy it, man. Or I'm just going to type it instead. Print name. Then what we're printing next again? Age. Okay. So to make this quicker, I'm just gonna copy it, print age, and what we're printing again, we're printing height. So we're gonna print height, and what we're printing again is student. So we're printing a student as well, and we're gonna save it again, Ctrl S. You can see how the code is clean, readable, and professional. You can just look at it. User profile information. Oh, this code is about a user profile. Name Alex. Oh, there's a guy named Alex, age 20. Oh, he's 20 years old. Height 1.8 meters. Oh, he's a tall guy. Is student true? Oh, he is a student. So Python is literally the simplest programming language, and if you're a beginner, you're going to find it comfortable here. So let's run it again. Remember, okay, I think I've saved it, but I'm just going to save it again for Ctrl S, and let's run it again, and you can see it. Alex 20 1.8 true. So we can see all the variables that we created by just calling the variable name. We called print name, and we saw Alex, which is here. Print age, we saw 20 here. Print height, we saw 1.8, and a student true, we saw true. So let's prove something very, very important, because remember when I told you that Python is strict? Python has rules and you must follow the rules. So remember I said true has to start with a capital letter. So let's change this to a small letter and see what happens. I'm going to save it with Ctrl S, and let me run the code again. So look at what it said here. Line 5 in modulo is student is equals to true. Name true is not defined. Did you mean true? Python recommended that we should always use the first letter should always be in capital letters. So we're going to change it to true again, and it's going to work this time around. Wow, it's not magic, it's just code. You just ran your first code. Congratulations, you're a programmer. Python is really case sensitive, so everything depends on the rules Python has set up. So I'm going to give you guys an assignment. Before tomorrow, I want you to, I'm just going to type it here. I want you to create a string, an integer, a float, a boolean, and use descriptive names, and add at least one meaningful comment, and print all the variables, and use the type on each of them. If you can explain your code out loud, then you understand it. Now I'm just going to give you guys a tip before I end this video. Don't rush your coding journey. The goal isn't to be fast or to be speed or to learn everything. It's clarity. Every good developer was confused at the beginning, but the ones who win are the ones who stay consistent. So good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.